So what we will learn today, we will be learning like a basic fundamentals of Amazon Web Services. Yeah, we know Amazon. Amazon is the e-commerce, right? That's where you can buy, you can sell your goods, buy goods and stuff like that. It's an e-commerce platform, right?
Yes.
So I can give you a simple example, like why. So they are the number one e-commerce market in the world. And what was the purpose, like how they came up with an idea to implement these web services like Amazon Web Services, like a cloud-based services. Like what was the point, like how they initiated that one. I'm not 100% sure how they initiated that one. Excuse me. But as per my understanding, so before they're getting business like large, like a far more than the whole year in only December. For example, they're getting 90% of business in December, and the whole year they're getting only 25 to 30% of business, because people do shopping across the globe. December, like December is a big festival, a lot of holidays, people who they want to buy things for their loved ones and stuff like that. And so in order to maintain their application in the sense, we discussed about Nike, right? Nike is you can go online, you can buy stuff from Nike. The same way you go to Amazon, you buy the stuff from Amazon, right? For example. And in December, they are getting a lot of business, and their servers are couldn't able to for example, their servers are couldn't able to load the traffic basically. So they would have to buy a lot of physical servers, and they would have to maintain that physical servers the whole year, but they're getting business only 1 month. And let's say they bought 100 physical servers, and they deployed 100 virtual machines on the 100 physical servers. And after December, they need only 30 physical servers, but still they would want to maintain that 70 physical servers, right? So why can't we use these 70 physical servers for different people? Now we are getting business and we have 100 servers, but in January, somebody will get business in January. For example, there are some companies, they do tax filing, and they will get business only March, April, and February. For example, March, April, and February. Why can we, why can we offer them some infrastructure? That means I have 70 physical servers left, and I let them use it, and I let them pay for only those 3 months, so that I'm getting business for those 3 months as well. Do you see my point? And that's how I think they initiated this business. Whatever the data center, so whatever the data center that they have, they are providing infrastructure services to the small companies and along the big companies, and they're getting like whatever the data centers that they have, they're getting business for them, and they can use whatever they need, and the rest of the physical servers or rest of the data centers, they will they are helping other customers and to deploy their applications. And the extra help is called AWS, Amazon Web Services. Basically, it's not any cloud. When people say cloud, it's Amazon's computer. It's Amazon's computer. So they have computers across the globe. They have one in Sydney, one in Singapore, one in Delhi, and one in Japan, and 4 or 5 in America, like Seattle, Denver, Virginia, Ohio, everywhere. So they have computers, and they are giving their computer in order to compute our applications, in order to compute our resources for certain period of time. And what is the advantage? Buying infrastructure from that kind of third party people. What is the advantage? Let's say I'm getting the same business. I'm getting like I mentioned, I'm getting business only March, April, and February because my company do tax filing. And I don't get business in June, July, right? At all. Some companies, they do like every 3 months tax filing, but for most of the people, they don't, right? And I don't have to buy any physical server. I can lease the physical servers. I can lease that computer for 3 months, and after I'm done with, I'll just terminate them. I don't pay. Whatever I pay for those 3 months, that's it. And I don't have to manage the whole infrastructure for the whole time. I do manage the infrastructure for whatever the business that I'm getting. Does that make sense? Any questions from anybody? Okay. So how does that work? Let's go a little bit deep dive into it. How does that work? When you create an account with Amazon Web Services, they will allocate VPC. VPC is nothing but virtual private cloud. It is the portion of a network. VPC is nothing but virtual private cloud. So for example, this is the Ohio region, right? For example, let's say they have one computer in Ohio. Okay. When you have an account with them, they can assign a specific portion of a network from their network, from their Ohio network. Okay. And inside that VPC, you can configure your compute resources like a virtual machines, like a database, anything your organization needs. Okay. You can compute any of your, virtual machines and stuff like that. Then once you're done with it, you don't need anything. Like once let's say right now I need 100 servers, I can compute 100 servers and I can pay for 100 servers. And Saturday, Sunday, I don't need 100 servers. Maybe I need 30 servers only. What I will do, I can reduce the number of servers to 30 servers. I'll be paying only 30 servers cost for those 2 days, for example, like that. So you can create your own network within the portion of their network, and you can create your sub-networking. Let's say you might need some applications that are, that should be available for the public, like hosted publicly, like, in front of like web applications. When you open a website, the public should have access for the web servers, for example, right? And you can configure your public subnet and you can configure your private subnet. So the VPC is nothing but it will have a subnets, sub-networking. When you create an account, you will be given a network called VPC, virtual private network. And that virtual private network can be divided into subnets. You can create number of subnets. Okay. And at least one public subnet and one private subnet. For example, I have a database server. I don't want anybody to have access for the database server. And I can configure the database server in private network, like a private subnet and things like that. And inside that VPC, you will have a security groups. Inside that VPC, you will have a public subnets, private subnets, and a security groups, and internet gateways, like a lot of stuff. Like you can provision IAM, you can configure your storage like S3, and you can request resources and stuff like that. We will discuss most of them. Okay. We will discuss most of them. How does that VPC work and how to create, like, security groups, like instances and all the stuff. This is high level description of a VPC. VPC is nothing but virtual private cloud, is nothing but a network, a portion of network from AWS. Okay, let's say this is on their Ohio's computer. Okay, now this is my VPC, right? My VPC is in Ohio. It's not in cloud. It is in Ohio on AWS computer. It's not in like a moon or sun or whatever. Okay, that's a portion of network. VPC is nothing but a portion of network. And you can have a public subnet, private subnet. Inside public subnet, private subnet, you can have a security groups. That's where we control the permissions to our instances, like what instance need to talk to what instance. Right? Remember when we discussed 2 IP addresses will only talk. An electronic device can talk to an electronic device only. For example, your internet will allocate an IP address for each and every device in under that umbrella. Okay, for example, I have 10 devices in my internet, and my internet router will allocate each and IP address for each device. If I open google.com from my phone has an IP address, right? That IP address will talk to an IP address which is hosting google.com, basically. So that is the place where we control the permissions. What is the place? The security group is the place where we can control the permissions. Okay, and we will see in a minute how does that work. Okay, any doubts till now? Okay, so today what we will do today, we will create a Linux computer, virtual computer, which is nothing but EC2. EC2 is nothing but elastic cloud computing. It's a virtual machine, it's a virtual computer. Okay, so let me log into my AWS account. You guys all have AWS accounts, right? Do you guys have AWS accounts already?
No, Vishnu, I did not do it. I'll do it now.
Okay.
We created a business.
Yes. So prerequisite, you guys should have AWS account, okay?
Okay.
7D2. Hopefully that will. Okay. Now log into AWS. You see that on the right corner, you guys can see Northern Virginia, right?
Mm-hmm.
What is that means is this computer, this portion of network given to me, which is in Northern Virginia data center, basically. I can change my data center wherever I want to. I want my data center to be Ohio. So I can create resources in Ohio region. Okay, something like that. So in the search bar, you can search any service in the search bar. If I do search EC2, right? That can get me all the resources that are available with that name or number, whatever. So if I do search for VPC, let's go to VPC. If I do click on VPC, right? If I do click on VPC, right? You see that this is the VPC that I was given when I took the account with AWS. The same way, when you create your AWS account, you will be given a portion of their network called VPC. Okay. If I click on that VPC, you see that. So this is the CIDR range. That IP address for this VPC, IP like a VPC, like a network is nothing but group of IP addresses, group of instances, basically. Group of networking, like a networking means networking, right? Internet, net will allocate one IP for each device under that umbrella. Okay. This 172.31.0.0./16. What is that /16? We can take a look at it. Let's look at the IP chart. Just bear with me, it won't be hard at all. It's pretty simple, very simple. Okay. So we discussed this /16, right? This one. So this will have a 64,000 IP addresses, basically. 64,000 IP addresses. The first IP will start. The first IP will start with, where is it? Yeah. 0.0. Next 1, 2, 3, 4. 172.31.0.1. 172.31.0.2. Things like that. Like that, this network will have a 64,000 IP addresses, basically. That's what you will be given when you create your VPC with AWS. Hey, is this VPC is default, or can I configure my own VPC? Yes, you can configure your own VPC. You'll be given a VPC, but you can configure your own VPC. How I can create a VPC? Right? Simple. Create a VPC and put your custom configurations and create a VPC. But still you'll be creating a VPC on specific data center only. You see that here I'm creating a VPC on Ohio data center. Okay. So we will discuss about VPC a lot more than this, but today let's navigate to EC2. I want to cover EC2 today. So what is EC2? EC2 is nothing but Elastic Cloud Compute. It is a virtual computer, virtual machine. Okay, like a Mac OS, like a Windows, like a, any kind of operating system. You can select any kind of operating system that you want. Okay, and let's create our first virtual computer. Okay, if you go to EC2, this is completely EC2 dashboard. Okay, in the left side you will see limits, tags, instance types, launch templates. We will discuss all of them. Actually, they're not that hard at all. It's pretty simple and very straightforward. Okay, let's create our first virtual computer and we will discuss what's in there. Actually, a computer should have what components? Can someone tell me? A computer should have how can you call a device is a computer? What goes into a computer? Can someone help me with that?
It has to have its CPU main. CPU is the main.
Okay, CPU and
memory, RAM.
Okay.
And any other resources like net. The hard drive, RAM, and the CPU.
Okay. So the first thing you need is operating system. Without an operating system, without OS, the computer is just a piece of plastic or piece of something, right? If I don't have an operating system, the computer is not going to work. It's just a piece of like a plastic, right? So we are creating a virtual computer. The first thing is choose AMI. AMI is nothing but Amazon machine image is nothing but operating system for the virtual computer. Okay. And let's check like how many flavors of operating system we will have. So they have Amazon Linux operating system, Amazon Linux 2, and they have Amazon Linux 2, and they have macOS. That means if I select this macOS, the computer that I'm going to create is a macOS computer. macOS Monterey, macOS Big Sur, macOS Catalina, and Red Hat Enterprise Linux, and SUSE, and Ubuntu, and I can create Windows computer, and I can create Windows computer like containers, SQL. These are all the operating systems. If you buy your own physical device, right, you would have to buy the operating system as well. But here you will have a plenty of options. You can select the computer that you want, what kind of computer that you want. You want Mac OS, or you want Windows computer, or you want Red Hat Enterprise Linux, or you want Amazon Linux. You can select your operating system when you create your virtual computer. That is the first benefit by using like a cloud technologies like this. Okay, let me select Amazon Linux because we are trying to provision the Linux computer, right? So that we can learn a lot of Linux operations like a user management, file permissions, troubleshooting, lot of stuff. So are we clear with this? AMI, Amazon machine image. Let me select this AMI because it's a free tier. So I'm going to select this free tier one. Next, CPU. Okay, CPU, memory. They are now we have OS. Now we need that physical device, physical box. But so they have some naming conventions, like they cannot call like a 2-core CPU, 3-core CPU, or 4 GB CPU, 5 GB CPU. They cannot call something like that. Like they have some naming conventions. You see that they divided based on the size. They divided the family types, most of them T2, T family. There are like a 4 GB computer, T family, then M family, C family. Okay, because this is a size. For this size, they have divided some naming conventions. It's not anything. It's just a naming convention. Okay. Now I'm creating a computer with 1 GB CPU, 1 GB memory, basically. Okay. Are we clear with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, instance details. Let's go there. How many computers you want? You see the flexibility? If I want 10 computers, all I can do just 10 number. But remember, 10 computers with Amazon Linux operating system. Don't forget that. Okay. You choose operating system for your computer is Amazon Linux, right? And you choose instance type is T2.micro. Do you really need 10 computers with the T2.micro? I'm talking about real time. I don't know. For testing purpose, we are going to have only one. So what is request to spot instance? What is this section? Let's say, for example, you need something cheaper, and you want to use, let's say you need this computer for 2 years, for example. So I want a little bit cheaper price, like I can reserve this, like I want this, like spot instance. Spot instance means that instance is available at the moment, and we are going to give it to you for a little bit cheaper price. That's what it means. Okay. And the VPC is nothing but virtual private cloud, right? Virtual private cloud is nothing but network where you are configuring your computer inside this network. Do you have any subnets? in organizations, people configure their own subnets. Actually, they configure the subnets, but I can just, use the default one. Okay. Hey, what is that 2A, 2B, 2C? What is that, Vishnu? That's a good question, actually. Okay. So data center is Ohio, right? And in the data center is also, they have availability zones. For example, they are calling some portion is availability zone A, some portion is availability zone B, and some portion with availability zone C. They are dividing the network. Okay. So they can have a switch routes, like they can have a network for each availability zone. For example, if one of the zones goes down, still there are two availability zones are available to serve the customers, basically. Okay. This is just a test instance. I don't have any preference. Whatever the availability, whatever the IP available at the time, whatever the IP in that availability zone, I'm okay with it. Okay. So we need to assign a public IP address for that instance. Okay. And IPv4 is nothing but IP address. IP address for that instance, basically. We will see what is the DNS host name is. Okay. And are you adding this computer to any specific placement group? For example, let's say I want to have 10 computers for web servers, websites, basically 10 computers for database servers, like a database servers, basically, and 10 servers for application computers. Hey, do you want this computer to be added to any of specific placement group? I don't have any groups for now. Okay. And the capacity reservation, do you want to limit this, target, like, do you want this instance a specific capacity, like a 500 GB or 100 GB or something like that? No, I'll leave it as open so that I can add anytime that I want. Okay. And we will discuss that IAM is a specific permissions. You can control the permissions based on IAM, identity access management, and we'll have a session regarding that. Domain join is nothing but, is there any specific Active Directory domain that this instance needs to be added? It's a Windows domain, and we will discuss about that as well. Actually, that's a Windows, actually, so we don't need that. Okay. So these are all some default configurations from AWS. We don't need all of them, actually. You should know what they do exactly. The shutdown behavior, stop, and stop hibernate behavior, enable hibernate in addition behavior. These are all like instance behaviors. We will talk about them. Okay, once we provision the instance, we will talk about them. If you enable this one, this instance is going to send the logs to the CloudWatch, basically. But we don't have anything. It's just a test computer. Okay. And elastic interface, we don't need that. Credit specification house, we don't need that. And the file system, you can create a file system. You can add file system is nothing but the directories, folders, whatever. Okay. Do you want any specific file system on this computer? You can add that. Okay. And we will discuss about the user data, metadata. We'll discuss all these things. Actually, user data means, let's say if you want to install any application, you can create that user data and you can launch. This instance automatically will come with that application installation. For example, you want to install Git Bash, or you want to install Nginx or whatever. You can simply write some shell commands here and you can review and launch. That instance is going to come with those prerequisites, basically, that binaries. Okay. Next, add storage. You see that this is the disk basically. Currently by root, this computer will have a 8 GB disk. If you want to add extra disk to 100 GB, simply I can add something like that. You see that how simple is that? Elastic, that means you can attach anytime that you want. If you feel after after a month you wanna have more data to your computer, you can add that. But in real time scenario, if you buy MacBook with a 250 GB space and you want to add more after 6 months, okay, 250 is not enough. I've downloaded a lot of movies and I don't want to delete any movies, but it's not enough for me. What I'm going to do? You're going to buy new computer again? In this case, no, not required. You can attach whatever the space that you want. That is the advantage by using virtual computers. Okay. So I can leave that 8 GB is more than enough. This is just a test box. Next to tags. Tag is just to identification purpose. Let's say I'm gonna add a tag, environment tag. Okay. Environment is what environment I can call test environment. Okay. And you can add up to 50 tags. Okay. Just tag is nothing but just identification purpose. So people will add a lot of tags, like at least 12 to 15 tags to filter the resources, to identify the resources. Okay. Okay. Next, configure security group. You see that SSH, remember we created SSH keys and we added SSH keys to the remote machines, blah, 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 right? What is that SSH? So the computer that you are creating right now will allow people through only SSH. You cannot open that computer in a website, in web server, because currently this computer is allow only SSH. That means you can only SSH to that computer. You cannot open that computer in a website, web browser. What I need to do in order to open a web browser, Vishnu? That's a good question. Add a rule. You can add HTTP or HTTPS, right? HTTP, right? Web is HTTP. So you can add that HTTP by automatically you will see that port 80, right? Now you can open this computer in website as well. That means if you have anything in that computer, so you can open that one. For now, I will leave it as a SSH. Review. Okay. And launch. So this AWS account, let's say company will have only one AWS account, but there are like hundreds of teams will work. Now I wanted to identify like what team this, like who are you, who you are creating this instance. Hey, you can choose your IAM role, right? Yeah, but that IAM role, multiple people can assign to that IAM role. I need to know like what is that, who are you exactly. So either you can create a key pair, create a new key pair, you can download that key pair. So in the future, when you try to connect to this computer, you need that key pair. Or you can choose existing key pair, or you can proceed without a key pair. Nobody does that because you are going to need a key pair to connect to that computer. So I have this key pair downloaded in my computer. Okay. You can keep it as, you can create a new key pair and you will see that, you will see what is that? The .pem file, and you can download the .pem file. It will be downloaded to your downloads folder, inside your downloads folder. Okay. I acknowledge that and I launch the computer. You see that? So the instance ID will start with the I. volume ID, EBS volume, elastic block storage with starts with the EBS. AMI ID will start with the AMI, Amazon Mission Image. Snapshot ID will start with the snapshot, SNAP. Okay, remember that. Let me click on this instance. It is being created. You see that health checks, this is initializing. When you see 2 by 2 health checks, that means instance is ready to use. Okay, let me refresh this instance. So it will be ready. You see that the DNS, this is the DNS, and this is the public IP for that instance. DNS is nothing but domain naming system, domain naming service, basically. Okay, so how do I connect to this instance? Vishnu, how do I connect to this instance? You said you can connect using SSH, right? How do I do that? If you see this button right here, click on that connect button. You will see, just do not do like just, do not go blindly. First, what this guy will say, open an SSH client. You can use either POTI or Git Bash or terminal. Those are all SSH clients. SSH client is nothing but that will let you SSH to a remote server. Okay, now I have my terminal open. Okay, let's go to my terminal. Okay, can you guys see my screen? Can you guys see my terminal?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, I open my terminal. What is the next step? Right, locate your private key. This is, you see that baseline key .pem. When you create new key pair, you provide the name, right? That name .pem. This file will be downloaded into downloads folder. Let's go to CD downloads. Okay, and if I do cat or whatever, base, you see that it's there. So I have that one. I don't want to open, but I have that one. Okay, so what next? You must not publicly, okay, change the permissions. We will have that file permission session actually. So this is the command to change the file permissions. This file should have only limited permissions. That is the good permissions. Okay, we will have that session actually. We have that session. So that is the command that you should use to change the file permissions. So let me change the file permissions first. Okay, file permissions has been changed. Now what next? Connect to your instance using public DNS. This is the public DNS. Okay. Example, SSH. You are connecting through SSH, and this -i is nothing but look for this file, invent this file. If you see this file, and by default you will be logging as a EC2 user to this computer. Okay, this is the user and this is the computer at that computer. Okay, what I can do, simply copy this, go here, connect. The first time, hey, are you sure you want to connect? I would say yes. You see that now I'm changed, right? You see that I'm not Vishnu Chimala here anymore. You see that I'm logged into this computer as a EC2 user, and this is the computer IP address. Okay. Any questions till now? Okay. So how I can terminate this computer? Vishnu, how I can terminate this computer, right? Select that computer. You see that this is how you select that computer. Go to actions, instant state. You see that terminate. Terminate this computer. It will take a minute. So this computer will go away. Once that computer will go away, this connection must be lost. You see that connection to this computer has been closed because this computer is not available anymore. You see that no instances match in your criteria. Any doubts?